Oh, ho, ho, ho. I feel like I'm in Winter Wonderland. Welcome back. Another edition of the Zoo Crew Redo podcast.
Got you to come to the crib.
Yeah.
Welcome to Christmas.
You got how many trees in here?
We just got 2 in here.
Are these fake?
Yeah.
And then you got a real one up in there?
No, that's a fake one, too.
So that's 3 big ones.
Fair,
Like
I mean,
true trees.
Yeah, these 2 in
like
our main
something you'd see
room.
in the
But I mean,
park.
we got 25-foot vaulted ceiling, right?
Yeah, I mean, fancy. High living.
Yeah.
$5 real estate at the Hastings.
1973, this house was built, my friend.
Yeah.
Back when they decided, hey, let's do things with funny angles and high ceilings, and you can't heat them. And by the way, let's put a big stone fireplace right in the middle, because that's hip in 1973, and it's too expensive to get rid of and replace in 2020.
Well, I like your middle wall here. Stockings are hung by the chimney.
And I got a big wreath on the chimney right there, right?
You got a couple of vacuums out.
So I do want to tell anybody about the front yard. Now, by the way, and I got to give credit where credit's due. This is all the warden.
Warden's up to her ears and stuff. Now
listen.
We're still mid-transition.
Oh, no, yeah. We still are. Yeah, you see all the but now, do you see the totes?
Yeah.
So imagine all the stuff that's out already.
Yeah.
And you still have this many totes still
Well,
in
I don't
here.
know why you bother with this.
You didn't hear what I said a while ago.
No, I heard
This
you.
is all the warden. I ain't bothered
well.
with a dang thing yet.
God bless her. No,
Other than I probably have had a credit card charged over the last couple of years,
I mean,
Now I will say this, and this is a tip for all the holiday shoppers out there: if you are in one of those neighborhoods like Andy, where everybody decorates, and your house looks a little sparse decorating wise, like Andy's, then wait till after Christmas, and all the stores go, dude, we got to. Hey, Joe, you've worked in those places. Hey, Joey, we got to restock these. No, what are we going to do with them? So you know what they do? So these $100 trees, like she bought these 15-foot trees for like $40.
oh, she's a good shopper.
Oh, hey, seriously, Christmas deals. But it's always after Christmas, and she does the same thing with Halloween. She bought all these pumpkins for like literally 5 cents a piece, and during Halloween they were like $2.50.
Well, I mean, good for her. But here's the thing: don't you? As the older I get, all I see is what I got to put away. Like we talked to the kids this year. I was like, okay, so I got the 2 trees up because we do have 2 trees like you, and I got the lights on. Do we need the ornaments this year? Because we got the knick-knack. We don't do like the matching set like you got here. We got the Hallmark. Like I got a John Elway and a Brett Favre and a TIE Fighter or whatever, and they're all in their own little box.
Oh, you know what? When you said TIE Fighter, I'm thinking kickboxing, and you meant Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on now.
Kickboxer, TIE Fighters.
What TIE Fighter?
That's
So
what.
you
Have
think
you never seen TIE Fighter?
You think I got Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Kickboxing basically started in Thailand.
So
And that's TIE land.
yeah, no. Anyway, yeah, I feel bad because all I see is what I got to take down now. I'm like, no, I don't. We're not putting this out.
But don't you feel during the sickness, which is what my 6-year-old calls COVID, that there's been more decorations out than ever before? I told you we did a show at your house 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Right before Thanksgiving.
I said, Andy, you've already got Christmas lights all in your neighborhood. You didn't believe me.
The street that you first referred to in that podcast from a couple back, I drove by it tonight on my way over to your place. Your place, obviously. Dude, they're all fighting each other. Like it is every house is a Griswold house.
Right.
Everyone up the street.
Right. Well, but I think that's part of the sickness because everybody's home, more people's home. I will say this. I on one hand, I go down to my basement and go, man, look at all the extra space I got down here. And then I can't walk through the house because all the totes are up in the living area. And I'm thinking, all this crap was in the basement.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, boy, I could take this right here and all this space right here. We could actually maybe make some walls and put some sheetrock up and maybe put the carpet down. I could have a Andy man cave down there. No, all this crap will be down there, and the dream goes away.
Are you rolling in like the 19? So again, for all our younger listeners, you don't know what basements used to be like. They were not places anybody wanted to be in.
Oh, no.
I remember as a kid in the 80s, like basements were cobwebby,
Yep.
And the furnace was down there.
Sandstone.
Yeah. It was nothing.
It was like the Home Alone, the first Home Alone fireplace down there.
Right, but not
that
nice, but just the
that was a
fireplace
nice
by
one.
itself, right?
Yeah.
No, they were like murder rooms back in the day.
In fact,
I mean, you got out of there.
In fact, when I grew up, mine was more like a Christmas Stories furnace room. You hear that thing, smoke coming out of the thing. Dude. Razzle, fracking, racking, racking. Dad sitting there kicking it.
The house I grew up in had one of those crazy big ass furnaces that you're talking about. Like the thing was a monstrosity. It was built into the house.
Yeah.
And it had.
There's no way they put that thing up like nowadays. You build a house and then they'll bring the furnace unit and stuff.
Yeah.
No. They put the furnace, built the house around.
Right,
it.
and the pilot light would go out. My mom would be sending, now don't you blow the house up. Well, hey, I'm glad that you're sending me down here with the match.
Yeah.
If you're worried about it.
Just don't light the match on the stairs.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was like, you know how they build the elevator shaft and then build the building around it? That's what the old furnace is. They put the furnace in and then build the house around it.
I remember the house I remember most growing up was an old house. In fact, when my town had a centennial when I was a kid in 1971, they were 100 years old. So that my hometown became a town in 1871. And so we had a house, and there was pictures of my house from 1893. There was something like that. It was like a big old house, and it was, it had to be a mansion in 1893, right? But it had one of those scary basements. It's one of the things where, first of all, you didn't have a light switch you hit at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
You went down in the dark and tried to find a pull string to get a light bulb. Their idea of lighting back in the day was a wire with a light bulb on it. And I remember going back there, and that was always scary. It was always if you had to get some, mom, grandmas, they always had one corner of the basement where they put all the canned goods and jars of stuff. Hey, go down and get me a can of green beans. It's
and it wasn't in the closed part. You had to go through the whole basement to get to that thing.
It's in that back left corner. So I'm going down there, and that basement was scared me. And I guess they always used to send kids down there because they knew they weren't going to dick around and they were going to come back as fast as they could, right? So I remember that. Well, one night I get woke up about 2:30 in the morning. Grew up in Kansas. We got a tornado warning. Got sirens going off. Woo, woo, and a big siren. Man, we had to go down there and spend about an hour and a half in that dark that basement. Lights went off, electricity storm go. Man, I've never been so scared in my life. I don't know what was worse, down in the basement, down in that basement for like an hour in the dark, or there's a tornado outside somewhere, right? It's one of the two. I'm thinking, can't we just go upstairs?
Yeah, let it get me. That's how Kansas people are, though. You're like Texas people. I remember I was with my grandma. Grandma lived in Amarillo, and I went to go see her one time, and my buddy came with me.
Amarillo by morning.
Up from San Antonio. I hate that song.
You had to listen to it probably every time you guys would go visit your
grandma.
grandma.
My dad had an Andrews Sisters tape, and then it'd go into Johnny Be Good. And there were times where I just thought and my dad had a bit of a lead foot. I was like, I'll just jump out of the car here. I'll just stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah.
I can't take any more of the damn Andrews Sisters. I'm coming after somebody. All right. There's going to be one less Andrews sister.
If he listened to the Andrews Sisters, I guarantee you, though, he had good, like Perry Como Christmas albums, Andy Williams.
No, he liked, you know what? My dad, it was kind of funny now because I guess I'm starting to figure out, like, he used to love Sylvia, the country singer, and Crystal Gale.
Oh, yeah.
And now I was figuring out, I don't know if it was all about the voices when I think back to some of the album covers.
Well, Crystal Gale was hot now.
Never
cut her hair.
Lookers, huh?
Yeah,
hey, don't want to make her brown eyes blue.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
So anyway.
So you went down to visit your grandmother.
Well, and we had a tornado warning. My buddy and I are staying up till 2 because we're dumb, high school kids. We were like seniors in high school right before my senior year. And at 2 in the morning, we're watching TV, and like you said, a tornado warning comes on. And I'm like, it's storming good, and the lights are, the street lights. So we get my grandma up, and poor grandma at 2 a.m., we shove her in the bathtub and throw the mattress on her because she doesn't have a damn. The more I think about it, it must have, it looks so stupid. And then I call my aunt and uncle, and I'm like, there's a tornado warning. Wake up, take cover, do something. And he was like, yeah, all right, fine. Hangs up. It calls me back the next day, and he's like, Don't wake me up for a tornado. I was like, don't wake you up for a tornado warning. You Midwestern folk just, I think, become numb to it, don't you?
Well, you kind of know the weather and the patterns, and
We had one, though.
although there's people down in Oklahoma City a few years ago, that woke them up to man, a bad tornado down there.
Dude, yeah. Well, get this note. It like rolled through town. My cousin was kind of like, Dad, he wasn't messing. We had it because I've heard it. So it luckily didn't catch us, but again, I mean, it was knocking power out, and all of a sudden it got calm, and then you heard the freight train.
Well, the tornadoes,
and then it went back into the storm again, and I was like, all right, what? And then we,
that thing had to be semi-close to y'all.
Oh yeah, we like 5-6 blocks away. It hit some people.
Yeah.
So I heard it. Yeah. I didn't totally overreact, but I just couldn't believe it. It was like, leave me alone.
My sister-in-law was driving up, I think it's either I-35 or 135 in Kansas, driving between Wichita and Salina. And tornadoes coming, and they look up on the highway. It's 4-lane highway, They look up, and they see it. It's up in front of her. And it's her. She's actually, my brother had a Corvette at the time, I think. I think they were in the Corvette. She's in the Corvette with, like, her 5-year-old. The tornadoes come right down the highway. They pull over kind of at an underpass, and there's a big culverts on either side. And I said, what'd you do? She said, man, I got down, just got over top of Joshua was his name, got over top of her son, laid on top of him, laid inside that culvert. And she said, they always tell you, it sounds like a phrase, says, you don't know. And that thing went over the top of them. I said, you don't know how loud that is till one goes right by you. He said, I can't describe how loud this was going over the top.
Dude, it's like I said, it's insane. It's so eerie because everything became calm as it went by us, and then the storm kicked up again. We had that happen again. I've had it happen twice. Another buddy went down there, my buddy Jay that you met, and we were driving into what just looked like a straight wall of clouds, and luckily the road just happened to turn as we were in the panhandle of Texas there. And again, we're like,
Tornado Alley.
We're gonna
Basically.
and this is June, and we went through the town that it hit, man, and like everything was wrecked. Light poles are down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane how.
If you've ever been a kid like walking across the light pole or the stuff that they made those poles of, and imagine something that can just snap it like a twig.
Yeah.
You want to talk about, it sounds like a couple old guys talking about the weather. Hey, Herb, you ever see some wind so strong?
Well, but we've been kind of lucky. Like when I was growing up here in the 80s and the 90s, in May, it was always, people remember this, it was always, in May you knew it was going to be nice during the day, and around 3 o'clock it was going to get nasty. And we'd get thunderstorms and hailstorms. And
about an hour, though.
Yeah, about an hour, and then you move on, then it gets sunny again,
yeah, and you have good evenings.
But you'd always have these tornado warnings. I feel like we haven't had. Now, again, I say we've been lucky. I've always lived in the north to west part of town. I know out in Aurora they don't get so. I've always asked some of the meteorologists what happens. I don't understand why. Like it's always out around where E470 and Southlands and all that is.
It's either in here. It's either
by the airport.
E470 and out by the airport area, or in Kansas, it's always by a trailer park. It's amazing.
Well,
yeah.
We've had a few that find it. I think it does look for it.
What they say? What's the old joke? What's Oklahoma divorce and a tornado? What are the similarities? Someone's going to lose a trailer home.
That's a pretty good one.
That's another thing. That's another thing here, and we got to thank Bill McCartney. Here's our ode to some sports, real fast. Bill McCartney finally made CU get a rival.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and he did it. I mean, really, you looking back now, and you were here. You looking back now. I mean, he made. I mean, Colorado and Nebraska almost hate each other still. I don't know. I play golf with some Nebraska guys, and they still bust on Colorado whenever they can. I said, I noticed your ass living here, though, ain't you?
Yeah,
I said, you bust on, but you ain't living in Lincoln,
sure.
are you? You live here in Denver, aren't you? Oh, okay. We suck? All right. But it's amazing how regions, make fun of, right? I went to Arkansas. Man, that's the armpit of jokes. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri people hate each other. I mean, it's amazing how all these regional jokes, make fun of each other. When we were at Arkansas, and now they used to call them Pollock jokes. I don't even think
Right.
I think that's politically incorrect to even say anymore.
I don't know.
But they were all back then. So all the Polish jokes that you used to tell as a kid, when I went to school, they became Texas A&M jokes. So it was like you hear the Texas A&M football coach locked his keys in the car. Had to call EMT to let his family out. Stupid stuff like that.
Dude, it's... Well, the end of Nebraska stands for knowledge, they like to say. So.
Right? I mean, that was 102. But, I mean, you missed that.
Well, you do. I mean, we got into it, Well, here's the thing. So Colorado's going to get screwed by I don't know what's going on. Because I've been told it isn't Bone. I thought maybe Bone had a, pardon the pun, a bone to pick with Colorado or some leftover hard feelings
he is
or something.
He is the AD at USC. I forgot about that.
But I've been told Bone's not the problem. Larry Scott and the Pac-12 ADs are just deciding that, we're going to keep it the way that it is. Isn't that the problem with college football? Doesn't that drive you nuts? At a time where the NFL is just playing games whenever they can, why is college football being such hard-headed morons?
And as the time we're taping, and maybe you've already heard, I haven't heard what the Big Ten's decided because the Michigan-Ohio State game
they're not
canceled.
playing.
I know that, but Ohio State now is not eligible for the Big Ten championship.
Well, yeah, that's it. And apparently, allegedly, Mark Johnson was telling us on the show today that you could do Ohio State and A&M, but they don't want to do it because there's no out-of-conference games. No one's going to break the rules. It is unbelievable to me what a mess college football is.
Oh, my God.
They need somebody that's just in it for the good of the game, making decisions for the good of the game.
Well, that's why that Phil Knight, the dude that basically started Nike, supposedly got together, and I don't know if it was the NCAA that he went to, but basically said he's trying to make a formula together how the Power 5 conferences can all leave the NCAA.
Well, I'll tell you this. Mark Johnson has told us on our show a couple times now, and John Wilner, who follows the Pac-12, pretty deep insider, has been tweeting about it too. There's probably going to be conference reshuffling again. It's coming before these TV deals. Whether Colorado stays in the Pac-12 or moves to another one, I don't know. I'm sure Boise State's going to look to latch on. And then, like you said, some of these we could be looking at conferences that don't even exist by the time this is all said and done because there's a lot of folks frustrated with California and how they've been unable to play any football there because of their tight COVID restrictions. The Niners have had to move out of there. Let me ask you this,
I just talked to a buddy tonight, speaking of that and the restrictions, who's really good friends with Kyle Shanahan, and so I was talking with him, and he said, yeah, I talked to Kyle yesterday, and he was saying how, they played last, what was it?
Yeah, last night.
Was it Tuesday Night Football they played?
No, they played last night.
What was last night? Oh, Monday night. Yeah, they played on Monday Night Football, a home game in Arizona.
Yep.
Well, they're supposed to have a game on the road, but then go home, and then, no, they're going to go back out to Arizona and play another home game, and it's going to be around Christmas.
Yep.
And he said, man, it's amazing what they're not allowing them to do. And he says he thinks they're just going to be stuck in Arizona for the next 3 or 4 weeks, including Christmas time. And now we'll see. You're going to bring family out? And he did say this that Kyle said. He said, he said, I can't imagine what basketball and the football people went through. He says, because we're in a bubble. We're in our hotel. We're not allowed to go out. Everybody's there, meeting rooms or whatever. He said, this is a true bubble. He said, it's horrible. He said, it's miserable.
Dude, it's been fascinating, and it is, by the way, nice of you to tell us about your conversation with John Elway. Tell John Elway next time he talks to Kyle Shanahan, your buddy.
Well, I didn't talk to John Elway.
Yeah, maybe hire Kyle Shanahan. I don't know.
Actually, I went by Trice Jewelers.
Right.
Yeah, I was talking to the owners who are friends with Kyle.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, the whole Shanahan family.
Stop by Trice Jewelers, by the way. Great outfit. And clean, safe, following all the protocols.
Yeah, it'd be great if they sponsored the podcast.
Well, that's why I do.
Ralph Klomp, we love you. Justin Klomp, we love you as well. Here's the thing, though. If CU were to leave, there's a whole bunch of topics mixed in there. If CU were to leave the Pac-12, where would you want? Would you want them to go back to the Big 12, or is that just trying to recapture past glory? Because Nebraska ain't coming back.
Well, let me
they
just
laid
say
it out.
this.
Did you see how much the Big Ten schools make? Like $59 million per because of the TV deal from the Big Ten. Well, Nebraska ain't leaving the Big Ten.
But didn't CU leave to go to the Pac-12 and gave up $12 million in the initial deal that they were under for 25. Or 30.
Now it's up to 28, but like the Pac-12 sucks in money compared to every other conference.
Yeah, well, that whole West Coast does, but that's just me. Listen, the Big 12 really, first of all, and they let Texas come in and take over the conference.
Right.
That was not good for the conference. Good for Texas, but not good for the conference. There's no reason Texas A&M is in the SEC. There's no reason West Virginia is in the Big 12. There's no reason that probably Arkansas should probably be closer to the Big 12.
Missouri shouldn't be in the SEC.
Missouri should not be in the SEC. There probably needs to be some realignment. I know Notre Dame's playing football in the ACC, but let's be honest, if you're going to play in a conference, you're going to play in the Big 10.
Right. They don't have Ohio State in there.
Clemson, if you're done, then come on over to the SEC. Miami of Florida. I mean, you could replace the A&M, the Missouri, the Arkansas, and you could still have some good conferences. But yeah, there's got to be something changed with all that. The Pac-12 is out of control, and God bless CU and what Carl Durrell's doing this year, and it's been fun. It'd be fun if they get to do some. Somebody had an idea. Why not play USC and Colorado in a bowl game?
Yeah.
Which might be kind of fun to do.
But they can't do that because the whole reason why the Pac-12 is trying to block all this is to get USC into the Power 6 bowls or the playoff.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I said on our radio show. I said, here, listen, they don't want to see you. First of all, USC is a bigger name.
Yep. It's a heritage program. It's a legacy program.
It's a legacy program. No one wants to probably hear that here. You're in LA. You're getting that whole market. They want that in a big bowl. Yeah. Now the funny thing is, unless something changes,
ain't no one gonna be there anyway.
Last time I looked, the Rose Bowl's in California.
Yeah.
Yeah. They ain't letting anybody play. Well, you gonna have the Rose Bowl in Vegas?
No. Well, it's not the Rose Bowl then. The Rose Bowl's literally a structure in California, in Los Angeles, or wherever it is.
Pasadena.
You ever been there?
Yeah.
That's a pretty stadium. It's pretty.
That's okay. What's an old stadium?
I like me some California weather.
Well, okay.
I like me some California scenery.
Say that? Well, you're married.
I can still like scenery.
He has to admit, though, Warren's over there somewhere. Get yelled at on my own podcast.
Anyway, do you think? I guess because there's some other things I want to move on to, but do you think the alignment happens? It just makes sense, right? Like how soon?
Well,
we talking next 2 years?
Here's why the alignment won't happen, because the NCAA still has enough friends that are presidents of universities that they will fight tooth and nail not for it to happen. And that's why Phil Knight coming out and saying, "Hey, we can get the Power 5. We can get you all to make about $50 million per, and just leave the NCAA."
Okay, so let me throw this at you, because all our college football games are they're on, they're off. There's COVID, there's this, there's that, whatever. So I kind of thought, I've been trying to watch all the NFL games, and we had another NFL game on tonight, and I found it interesting because I laid down to watch a little Baltimore at Dallas after I got done making some dinner before I came over here, and I don't know, man, I just kind of. I feel like the NFL is beta testing, trying to get a Tuesday night football thing, because we've had some pretty consistent Tuesday night football. Now, sometimes it's replaced Thursday night football, which I don't think they want because they
should have had one 2 weeks ago, by the way.
Well, By the way, Des Bryant tested positive tonight. Did you see that? And somehow they just said it. Oh, no other contact tracing because everybody else can play. Anyway, my point is, don't you feel like the NFL is trying to test the waters to see if they could pull off a Tuesday night game?
Yeah, maybe so. Thursday night. Here's what they also realized too, and now all of a sudden everybody loves Thursday night football. Well, the players still hate it.
Oh yeah,
and they still hate the short weeks.
But they do like the bye week after, as they call it.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is, the NFL finally. The NFL is the most. First of all, the NFL is the most beloved pro league in America. We all would agree with that.
Yes.
They're also the most arrogant league in all of America.
Okay.
They started Thursday Night Football, started their own network to put it on, and gave them crap games every week for the first 3-4 years.
Right.
Now all of a sudden they realized, hey, wait, we getting 10 million people to watch on a crap game. We put a good game. Hey, we got 21 million watching the other day. Now we can charge real money for this thing. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why there's not 2 games on Monday more often. That's been kind of fun to watch.
Well, but let me ask you this. Here was my surprise, okay? And I don't necessarily disagree about the Monday, especially with us all working from home, but hopefully that ends.
I don't know, really. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe not us and maybe not you and I, but I'd like to go back to a restaurant and sit with my friends and not. I could have watched the football game tonight and kind of was done. Like, I think if you go Tuesday might be too much. Don't you think? At some point, isn't there too much? Do you need a football game every night to watch?
I accidentally turned it on, and tonight I went, oh, gosh, football's on. Okay. I didn't happen to have it on the channel, and so I got to watch a little bit of the first half and part of the third quarter. But I did the same thing with Thursday night last week. Well, I didn't have it last week.
No.
In fact, it's funny you said that. When I turned it on, I went, damn, I didn't realize it was Thursday.
Yeah.
I was watching Tuesday Night Football, and I went, damn, I didn't realize it was Thursday already. I just took the trash cans. Hell, I got to go get them. I'm a day late, But they're going to do something. But listen, the NFL has hook, line, and sinkered everybody. Now they pass legalized gambling everywhere. Fantasy football, you probably remember this. We were the first ones to put Cecil Lamby on the air live.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And now he's made a whole cottage career of it himself. But he was we had the first fantasy football guy on our station was us over at the zoo.
Yep.
And I remember talking to one of them, well, we can't be having football. We can't be having fantasy football. No. And I brought in an article from the Wall Street Journal, and this was, 12, 15 years ago. 40 million Americans are playing fantasy football.
Yeah.
And I go, people listen. And now everybody's a fantasy football expert. Think of me in this town. Got guys at KOA now, guys used to work who used to be board ops who are now are draft experts, who are fantasy football experts. Yeah, experts. But it's the most popular, arrogant league going, and it ain't stopping. And whatever they can do to make some money, you watch what they sell next time. They're going to sell Tuesday night football, Monday night football, Thursday night football, Sunday night football.
How long before Friday? I promise you, if they find a way to get to Tuesday, then you might as well do Friday too.
Why not Saturday night?
Well, that's what I'd prefer. Now, there's the old school of thought that's college football's night, and let college have their night. They used to have these gentlemen's agreements where they didn't step on each other's toes, and
right.
Friday was for high school, which I still believe it is. I'd rather.
I'm with you on that.
But
by the way, speaking of that, congratulations to Dave again.
Yeah, how about that?
Was that 9 or 10 for him?
I don't even know.
It's 9 or 10 championships.
All I know is every school he's coached at has gotten a state title.
Yep.
Every school.
We won one at A West, one at Chatfield, won multiple at
a bunch at Mullen.
And he's now won multiple at Cherry Creek.
Won a couple at Cherry Creek. Had to get those McCaffrey kids out of his life.
Yeah, but
right?
They beat the one of the McCaffreys 2 years ago.
Yeah, he did. Who was it? Dylan? Luke? I don't even remember.
The one's at Michigan. Hey, congratulations.
All I know is that dude,
Dude can coach.
Don't question the coaching. So that's all I would say.
The funny thing is, and I'll just say the last thing I'll say about Dave, because I worked with him, and we both been friends for a long time. See, you should have hired him 20 years ago, and they probably wouldn't be in as much trouble as they've gone through in all those years. There probably would have been some if they'd had a losing year. Oh, see, he's a high school coach. But I guarantee he'd have won there too. He's got too many contacts. When I was doing the show with him, he would sit down with the defensive coordinators, and they would go over plans because they were playing what's the one team over in Aurora or Parker that always used to run the Veer?
Oh, Overland.
Overland. They were playing Overland, and they hadn't played a Veer team all year. And I was sitting him on the airplane. We were going somewhere out of town to do the game, and he's up there with the defensive coordinator going how he used to teach in college against the option. And how you keyed and what that's his resource. I was sending him. He used to get the tape guys used to send him every single offensive play ran for the previous season in the NFL, and he had a breakdown. And he would take plays from all these different teams.
Dude, we used to sit at Big Bill's Pizza, and while we'd be doing the meeting, he'd be scribbling. Like, I'd always just kind of glance over at what he was writing down. He's drawing up plays. We'd get done. He'd have like 7 napkins of new plays that he drew up during that meeting. He just doesn't ever turn off the football brain.
No, it is a football brain.
And I'm trying to tell people, people are like, oh, the high school thing. And I go, yeah, I get it. Like, now, I don't know why it makes sense for him to even go try one of those things now, but at the end of the day, I was like, dude, I've watched this guy. Again, he's buddies with Mike Shanahan. He's got a whole connection to the NFL community. But aside from that, he's just got a football brain. I told people all the time, you were there. I'm not making it up. We sat down to play Madden. Me and Patrick Watkins and Mark, we all thought we were going to whoop his ass. Took the guy like a half. He started, this way. I was just like, I hate you. You're better at everything football than all of us. You haven't even played the stupid video game, and you're whooping our ass with the video game. So anyway, good for him. I'm glad more than anything, I'm glad they got that in because I come from a sport. Chas is pushing back lacrosse again.
Yeah,
all my buddies that are trying to coach are so frustrated by this because you know what this is going to do, and I'm not trying to get on a pulpit, man, but. You're pushing kids to the clubs, which you already don't. Like, to me, it should mean something. I miss that it doesn't mean, and I know this is us being old guys again, it meant something for me to play for my school.
Yeah.
It's how you got socialized with some of the dudes in your school. It's how you found your group in some cases. It's how some of the girls got interested in you or whatever.
Sports has a way in high school of taking away all economic and cultural backgrounds and mix it together. And the guy that's beside you in a towel who's hurting just as much as you are, you don't know if his dad's picking him up in an Escalade or a 73 Buick. It doesn't matter. And that's a beauty. Can I give you, since we're talking high school sports, I think this is high school. Yeah, it is high school. The dumbest rule I've heard.
Now what do we have?
Because listen, we've heard weird things during COVID. So the Ohio State High School Athletic Association, OSHA or OHSAA, right?
Yeah.
They're going to have wrestling because in Ohio, wrestling's still big in some states and big in Ohio. Allowing high school wrestling this year, but they can't shake hands after the match.
Yeah, that is.
I'm like,
that is. Come on, dude.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Any damage done is going to be done in the proceedings.
We've got other areas touching other sensitive areas all during the match. But don't shake hands. I thought that was one you're going to allow, which is surprising. They're going to allow wrestling, but they're allowing wrestling. You just can't shake hands after the match.
Look, man, I know people, whatever about the vaccine, I just hope it's available. We can all get it. Everybody feels comfortable. We can go back. Kids need to go back to school. Kids need to get around the social environment again. It just got to happen.
But I don't mind. You know what? I could do another 20 years sitting right there on that couch where you're sitting.
Well, yeah, it is funny because now, both our shows are on Twitch, and so Nate and I have been, they told us this past week, hey, you're going on Twitch for the first time yesterday. Nate and I were like, what do you have to do? And our guy was like, well, it's just a Zoom call. And so we've been doing it, and I'm like, this is all we've been doing anyway.
Yeah.
Now
they just captured you guys looking at each other and laughing and putting it across the internet.
We have an interview on what people are able to see, like we had on Calvin Booth tonight. And so when Nate wants to ask a follow-up, you can see Nate go, hold on, I want to get in again. And, the little nonverbal.
You get that all the time.
And then you get me telling him no.
Here's a bird. Dude, that's your third question in a row.
It's fine. You know how it is, man. It's better than trying to jump back and forth between the topics. But I'm with you. We could do radio. We do radio from anywhere. Friday, I'm going up to be at CU. I got to call the game as soon as I'm done with the show. I'm going to sit in a radio booth, do my radio show like we normally do, and then I'm going to go sit in an empty stadium and watch football.
Now, where do they let you go? You doing sideline?
I go in the stands. Yeah, dude. The last game against San Diego State, man, eeriest experience I've ever had. Nobody was there. Literally, the first game against UCLA, they allowed families in. Okay, so there were 950, and there was half UCLA, half CU. Okay, so there's a little bit of noise, right? And it's crazy because CU, like the one end of the stadium, I think I told you, has the noise coming out. Well, at San Diego State, there was nobody in the like. There's more people in there for a damn spring game, man. Like it was apocalyptic. Like I could see up into all the empty suites, and like there was nobody. You know, how there's looky-loos and guys pretending like they're working in the office and take none of that, man. It was freaking.
Yeah, the good thing
eerie.
for a sideline reporter, the CU sidelines are so close. I mean, you still could probably hear things and hear the team.
Oh yeah. Sure. Things that you know what I thought was funny too. Have you ever seen this? The San Diego State dudes when they came, it's the Hawaii of our country. I should say that the Hawaii of stateside. How about that? Since Hawaii is part of our country,
because it's always beautiful weather.
Well, it's always 70s or whatever and 50s. So. Like, those dudes were actually jumping up and down and showing they were cold. I don't think I've ever seen a football player. Like, they were all huddled together and trying to, like, they were physically showing they were cold. Have you ever seen a guy? Because they're usually walking around, oh, I'm tough. Your arms are frostbitten. It don't matter. I'm tough.
Right.
I've never seen dudes, like, actually, like, they were
Freezing.
jumping around like kids outside of recess waiting to go back inside.
Well, did they not have heaters out there for them?
Yeah, they had a heater out there. Dude, it was like 60. I didn't put like the heavy. I was like, bro, you guys are lucky you came now. You kidding me? You know what this could have been? That was supposed to be an 8 o'clock game that night if they'd have played ASU. It was going to be like 30 degrees.
Do you think CU's as good as their record?
That run game's straight up legit. I don't know what Carl Durrell, but I take it back. I think Carl Durrell put in that zone offense. And I think the guys or the zone blocking scheme.
Which, by the way, for people who don't remember, you and I do, Carl Durrell was on Mike Shanahan's staff when they were winning Super Bowls.
And that's what he's done. Because they showed a cut black. They showed on one of the Jarek Broussard runs last week, one of the tackles got to the second level and cut a blocker, and that's what opened this cutback lane so he could go for one of those long runs. Now, Arizona's terrible. Apparently, everybody gets a turn, but to put up big yards against them. But, yeah, it's
yeah, but he had like 258 or something.
Bro, it was ridiculous. Did you see he had 301 yards and not a touchdown?
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
So
that's almost hard to do.
Oh, it is. Trust me.
Yeah. That's like, let me break off a 75-yarder. Hey, coach, take me out. Scored next.
Oh,
next
dude,
play.
they kept tackling him inside the 5, and he was gassed. And I think at the end of the game, he was just so tired. Like, his last long run, you could tell he was like, all right, man, I've now sprinted 100 yards like 3 times. I'm done. I'm just done. You guys can have it the rest of the way. I think Sam Neuer is good enough to get it done, but he did get exposed a little bit last week, throwing some kind of bad picks. But he's a tough competitor. They're a fun team. They're a fun story. Do I think they're – I'm not even sure they're, as good as they're highly ranked right now. But it's a fun story. And for those kids, I'm one of the few CU guys. I'm never going to be mad at Mel Tucker because when you get offered the kind of money he did to leave, you got to go take that money. And I've talked to enough people that have said Mel really didn't want to leave, but he couldn't say no to that job. Yeah. So good for him. But Carl Durrell is one of the real feel-good stories of this college football. It goes back to the nonsense. Why would you not highlight this, man? This CU team lost to coach as late in the game as you could get it, then got a dude who came out of nowhere. Nobody was talking about Carl Durrell. Mark Johnson had told me, and you know how good inside information, he goes, there's some NFL guy, but I don't know who it is. Bam, it ends up being Carl Durrell. And Carl comes in, has no offseason, has no summer camp, doesn't even think he's going to play. Then all of a sudden they decide they're going to play.
Well, but let's also, too, forget the cat's name, but the guy that was in charge of all the recruits, they almost
Shiverini.
Darren
Shiverini.
They almost lost Darren. Remember, there was a big news because he took the CU off his Twitter.
Yeah, he was pretty upset.
And they got him to stay, and I think he talked to a lot of those recruits, and Mel Tucker had picked them, but they didn't lose as many guys as you thought they could.
Hey, Darren's calling plays again. Darren had a run under Mike McIntyre. His season under Mike McIntyre wasn't great. Darren's been a good comeback story too, man. This guy's doing a better job. Gary Barnett, I love being around old coaches. I'm sure Gary never quits thinking football, and he's talked about how the sequencing for Darren's been so much better. He said Darren the first time got a little predictable. You just knew it was coming, and now he does a good job. First off, he does a good job of saying, this is what I'm doing, and you're going to stop it before I quit doing it. Sometimes, some offense coordinator, I think Pat Shurmur does it sometimes, man. Oh, yeah. I'm just going to quit doing it.
No quarterback, let's run the Wildcat with 2 running backs. Works. Couple first downs, flip the field. Oh, let's change it all.
Gotta go 3 wide. It's a 3rd down. Give me a 3 wide.
3 wide with the wide receiver trying to make a pass. Come on now.
Who makes the best coaches in the pros? Seriously, you've been a pro. Been wanting to ask you that for a long time. Like, is it?
Well, I'll be honest with you. That's a kind of a trifolded, if you will, question. Like, Willis Reed was one of the best assistant coaches I ever had, and I don't know how much coaching when it comes to X's and O's, but when Mike Fratello or one of these guys that grew up in East Coast basketball camps, all of a sudden become head coaches, they're X and O geniuses. But then Will's going, listen, here's what he's talking about. And then he shows you. I remember one time we were in practice and we're showing how to get a post player off the block when big guys used to try to do that. And he goes, here, Scotty, post me up. And so I'm posting up Will Reed. I'm in my prime. I'm 25 years old. I'm a man. I'm feeling my oats. Will Reed, some 50-some-year-old dude, bad knees. I saw you limping last time you played. I saw you limping on the floor. Andy, he put a knee up my butt, lifted me off the block, and moved me 3.5 feet. And I was doing everything I could not to move. He moved me. And I remember this honest God true story. I drove home that day almost wanting to cry something. I can't play in this league. This old man lifted me up off the ground and moved me 3 feet off the block. And then he starts talking angles. He goes, listen, this shot right here, this guy's going to make 56, 60% of the time. 3 feet away, that may go down to 45. He said, now your odds of, and if you can contest a shot, that goes down even further. You win the battle just moving him 3 feet. And that's how I played the rest of my career, playing angles. I play Akeem Olajuwon. I ain't letting you get on the right block or the left block where you like. I ain't letting you get on the left block. Now, I'll let you post block high, but you're posting about 3 feet outside the block. Kevin McHale the same way. I didn't let him get where they wanted to go. Karl Malone. You might get down the block eventually because you're much stronger than me, but it's going to take, instead of 2 seconds to get down there, it's going to take you 8.
I won't wear you out on the way, right?
Yeah, because I'm only going to play 5 minutes. You got to play 38.
Yeah, make you think about wanting to go down
there. But that was all Willis Reed, and that had nothing to do with X's and O's, but he knew how to relate to a player, and because he's done that, because at 6'9", he defended Wilt Chamberlain and 7'1", Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, while he was still Lou Alcindor even. You listen, and then there was guys like Chuck Daly, who had a college background, got in the pros, won a championship in Philly with Billy Cunningham, who's the worst coach. I hated him, but anyway. But Chuck Daly, he was a guy, the assistant coaches would go on the board and put all the X's and O's up, and he would just come in and go, and you're like, dude, you didn't even do any of that. That was the assistant coach that did that, and he called the play, told everything happened. Brilliant. And then when it came to relating to players, best coach I've ever been around when it came to relating to players. Let you show your ass. Like I saw Vinnie Johnson show his ass in a game in Cleveland one time and just throw a fit on the sideline. Chuck just took it. F you, Mom. Next day we're in Detroit at practice a little late getting started. Vinny and Chuck in a private meeting. Vinny comes out, hat in hand. He's walking out of that meeting. And I asked Chuck about that one time, and he goes, my father says you never show up a player on the floor, even if he's completely wrong and making a turd of himself. He said, you address it, but you never embarrass a player. And I'm thinking, that's brilliant. I mean, how many dudes you seen barking and yelling, and we've seen it all the time, dudes, and what does the media do as soon as that happens? Hopping right on that, right? So it's different. Fratello was an unbelievable, brilliant X and O's. Chuck had this way about him to communicate, and Willis, because he was such a great player, he just commanded a room when he spoke. You knew this was coming from bruised, bloodied wisdom, right? So 3 different examples of 3 really good coaches I had in all different areas, really.
Where do you think the Broncos are at with theirs? Because here's my problem. I love Fangio's defense. I really do. That guy's shown he knows how to coach a little defense, and you're not going to show him too much offensively. He hasn't seen at least too often. But like we go back to the game the other day, and we don't have to belabor this too long, but it's like, man, you go for two, you go for the field goal, you're aggressive. Then it's time to go for fourth down. You don't want no part of it.
Well, and his excuse was, well, we hadn't been doing well the second half on converting.
I get that.
I get that. And I thought Vic had the best point. He's a great defensive coach, but he trusts his defense too much because defense really wasn't stopping anybody in the second half either.
Right.
And then you go back to the Monday night game with Buffalo.
Yep.
They got the lead 4th and 2 at the 45, and they go for it. They got the lead and the ball. They're up 10 or whatever. I mean, they're up, double-digit points. They still went for it. And now they picked it up, too. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, 6 minutes to go, you're up 10. When you punt it then, Buffalo went for it. Picked it up, iced the game, scored a touchdown on that drive, puts the game away, it's done. We're down, 3 points? 4th and 2, 6 minutes to go, you punt it. Now, to me, I was like, is the analytics, am I missing something on the analytics somewhere?
No, yeah, see, that's why I'm saying I don't know if he's a good head coach. Because
I don't know if he has a good – I don't think he knows anything that's going on in the offensive end.
Right. I'm with you.
And I think he went 40 years being one of the best defensive minds in football.
Right.
And that's where his concentration is. Pat Shurmur's not the guy either.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're thinking Eli's probably sitting somewhere retired in Louisiana going, see.
Well, Odell Beckham Jr. basically went off on Shurmur today.
See. Well, I didn't hear it. What did he say?
Yeah, he just basically said he sabotaged my career.
See? So, I don't know. There's no creativity. When you play an entire game without a quarterback, and be creative. We're watching the Kansas City game, and you got Pat Mahomes, the leading MVP candidate, going in motion. And they're snapping it to the back. Well, where's that one?
Hey, how many teams do you see where there's a bunch of motion going on one way just so they can draw your attention and take it to the other side? By the way,
I don't think it's creative.
I don't think he's creative either. Just a quick note, Aaron Rodgers, pretty damn good, right? Okay, well, the offense we decided wasn't good enough for Drew Lock and we had to jettison on out of here. That's what Aaron Rodgers is running this year to perfection. And they went on and on and on during the game Sunday afternoon, did Tony Romo, about, and remember, you heard this about Mike's because that's an offshoot. Ultimately, all LaFleur is doing is just another little iteration of Mike's offense, and it was always said to me, Leggy told me a long time ago, Stink has backed it up, Eddie, all those guys. When run right, that offense has an answer for everything, and it's impossible to defend because they got so many plays that all come out and look at. You don't know what play's coming because there's like 12 plays out of one formation.
Well, and I know
you don't know which one it is.
I know there was a great defense involved, but wasn't the last Super Bowl championship Denver Bronco team an offshoot of Mike Shanahan's offense?
Yeah, because you know what? There's a commitment to the run game that ultimately wore. Hey, go back to the Pittsburgh divisional game where they won here. They wore that team down. I saw it with my own eyes. They were too tired. They stayed so committed to the run that ultimately towards the end of the game. Hey,
how was you going to see the game? I mean, you saw
I
it
was
with
there.
your own eyes.
I was there. The sidelines. I was smelling the air.
I was there for the AFC game.
That's good.
Championship game. I mean.
Yeah, front runner. Okay.
Yeah, we had 93 Jello shots in the tailgate party. It's the
runner.
first time I've ever been to a game and tailgated, by the way.
Really?
It was the AFC Championship
Would you like
game.
to do that? Can you and I do that next time we're allowed to tailgate? Can we just get something and go tailgate somewhere?
Well, I don't know why this Sunday we don't. Breakfast at Andy's. Get you liquored up for your post-game show.
I tell you what I think about this. Well, I mean, God only knows if we're even going to play that game. Carolina's got 10 people on the COVID list.
No, they'll postpone it. Probably postpone it till Thursday because it's multiple facets.
Yeah. I will say I like how the NFL found a way to put off enough Baltimore games to the point where Lamar Jackson only missed one game. Yeah. And that's proof that if you had a quarterback they cared about, they wouldn't have messed with you.
Well, and listen, and God bless Leggy, and those guys did more than they should have done and all that stuff that he said on our show. It's the players. Okay.
Bortles admitted.
That's fine, but guess what? they still made an example of the Broncos.
There's no doubt about it.
And they wouldn't have made the example of the Broncos if they were 8-4 instead of 4-8.
Yes.
I guarantee the game would have been moved.
But again, my problem is, our guy Drew Lock decides he's going to go. You don't listen the day after Dad tells you don't go mess with the paint in the garage, or you go play with the paint the next. Like, that's my problem with it.
No.
I'm not worried about who wore a mask, where, when, whatever. I'm more upset that you go. They literally warn you, and the next day you're going to go do something you shouldn't have done.
And I agree with you. It's
in
stupid.
the team facility.
I still, but everybody in Denver has excused the league, and yet the league, I don't know if you read all the articles that came out this past week, unquoted team executives, they said, they crushed Denver. He said they didn't do nothing to Baltimore. You didn't do anything in Tennessee. You don't think protocols are broke? He said they just want to make an example of Denver because they ain't no good.
Because Denver volunteered. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing.
But I'm at the stage, Andy, in my life where I want one yardstick.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, we all do.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to feel like the rules are different for everybody. Here's the thing, man. Jerry Jones went on his little radio show and his grumpy old. I don't even know why they're still talking to the grumpy old bastard.
Because he's kind of funny and makes good quotes.
Yeah, you get your damn act together. Now we're going to have a good visit now, but.
Now, would you love to have him on your show every week?
Yeah, because I'd just try to piss him off. It'd be like trying to piss off your grandpa.
That's what I've been trying to do with Leggy lately.
Oh, I think you got him last week.
I got him last week.
Yeah,
Did you hear me?
You got him a little stirred up.
He turned corporate on me.
Here's the thing is I just, like Jerry Jones basically said, hey, Tough, I'm going to, whether we like it or not, we don't need to spend any more time on the podcast with this, but the Broncos have got to get an owner because the owners are letting it. You heard Mike Brown try to get their vote taken away, the guy that owns Cincinnati. He put the proposal that said Denver and Tennessee should not be able to vote in league proceedings until they have one clear majority owner, a person. They want their billionaire person to show up and be part of the club. They're kind of done with the rest of this. So Denver's got to get. You think this offseason? I think this offseason Denver's going to have no choice but to figure it out.
Oh no. Well, they just switch with McMorris or what's the cat that owns the Rockies?
The Montforts?
Yeah, I'll just swap with the Montforts.
You shut your mouth. I will punch you in the baby maker. I don't care if you just got it fixed or not.
How about letting an all-star go because he was going to be able? You're going to have to pay him $2.6 million.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
$2.6 million is a lot for a baseball team that's building a huge condo complex next to it. Have you been down there?
Yeah.
It's like claustrophobic now.
Yeah.
Like I liked the open air of what Sing Sing used to be. You ever tip a few at Sing Sing?
I used to, yeah.
What is the Scott Hastings go-to karaoke song?
Mac the Knife.
What?
The shuck has.
You've done Mac the Knife at karaoke?
You want me to hear you? You want me to tell you?
Give me a little right now. Yeah.
Want me to tell you a great story about?
Of course
about
I do.
Night before an NBA Eastern Conference playoff game, Detroit semifinals in the Eastern Conference. We have a Sunday afternoon game.
Uh-oh. So everything's a little earlier.
Yeah, which, Scott wasn't playing much. And,
What does Scott have to worry about?
Chance when we're going to play. Whirled in about 11 o'clock. See a famous celebrity. Kind of famous now anyway. Stand down, who was a beat writer at the time, basically columnist for the Detroit Free Press, Mitch Albom.
Gotcha.
So he goes, Scotty, dude. I said, Mitch, because everybody else is going to bed. I'm like, and I've had just enough to be dangerous. I go, hey, there's a karaoke bar right across the street. So Mitch Albom and I head over to this bar. And it was down in like a basement. So we walked down this thing in Boston, midnight, for a 1 o'clock CBS National Televised game next day. And he and I are doing Mac the Knife about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning.
How long did that rendition go?
Well, he has his own band and charges. Oh, yeah, it's like him and Stephen King and all these different writers. They have a band together. They tour around. They raise money and give it to charity and stuff like that. He's a hell of he's a good singer. He can sing. I'm just, I was lubed enough that I thought I could sing a little Mac the Knife. So he and I did a rendition, a duet of Mac the Knife.
You ever tried End of the World as We Know It?
It's the end of the world.
No. See, everybody thinks that's the part. I've done that again. Drunk with a friend. After you've had a few and those words pop up on the screen that it just start flying by, you're like, how you doing? Hey, stop, please. I'm done. Buddy started kicking a tambourine just to try to make some noise. That got the guy pissed off.
No,
So anyway.
I've never tried that song. But if my go-to, if I got to sing, is Bobby Darin, Mac the Knife.
You're not a Friends in Low Places guy. I'd have pegged you for Friends in Low Places.
I've done Friends in Low Places. I'm just saying if you had to pick one.
You're only getting up there once. It's
I'm
Mac
going
the
to get
Knife.
one, Mac the Knife. I'll do a little Mac the Knife. I have done with Cause at a couple places that Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow song.
Which one are you?
Sheryl Crow. Places or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the Sheryl Crow. Feel free to, while you're here on Spotify or iTunes, look up that song.
No, well, subscribe to us first so you know that we're here.
Then
But
do that, yeah.
a lot of you actually, we've been getting a lot of consistent listenership, so we do appreciate it.
Down in a hotel. Yeah, I don't
Sheryl
know.
Crow was
Still is.
You know who put out a song yesterday and went back to her roots that I like a lot? Gwen Stefani.
Oh, don't say that name in front of the warden.
Why?
Well, who's the dude from Bush that she was married to for a
Yeah,
while?
Gavin Rossdale.
Yeah. That's her number one.
Well, she can number one it all day long.
Well, that's what I say. And I said they're even divorced now. Now she's with my guy, Blake Shelton, who I love. But yeah, you can't. Hey, Warden, what do you think about Gwen Stefani? Yeah, he doesn't like her.
Really? You're into dudes banging the babysitter? Good to know. Oh, that brought some anger. Yeah. Oh, I got jokes.
Hey, you don't want the warden in here. You don't. Listen, I know you got a prison guard at your house, but I got the warden here. Come on now.
Well, real quickly, I will tell you some I want you guys to try. Now, again, A-list band, not really, but we got the lead singer on from one of the bands that I really love. Apparently, Josh is in too, Less Than Jake. They're putting out an album Friday. Their lead singer joined us on the show because we do the Ska Fridays, as you know, and they're one of the greatest. I think they're the best ska band out there. But I'm finding out a lot of these dudes, we've had like 3 or 4 kind of big acts on just because they're sitting at home not being able to tour. And if you hit them up on Instagram, chances are pretty good that they'll get back with you.
Well, you know Jake's little brother Phil, what they used to say about him, right?
No?
He's less than Jake.
Well, no, you know what? You know where that name came from?
No, I don't
know.
know.
Grandpa had a dog named Jake, and they said that he treated everyone less than Jake.
Oh, that's a good line.
So there you go.
No, I like him.
Yeah.
No, I like him.
Good old Jake.
Yeah.
And on that, by the way, eggnog, up, down?
I've never really ever drank it.
You've never had an eggnog?
I think I sipped on one once. It was spiked. It was horrible. And I sipped on one once. It wasn't. And
it was still horrible?
It was still just,
Dude, it's got the thickness and consistency of Pepto-Bismol. Can't do it. Can't do it.
I'm glad you said it's got the consistency of Pepto-Bismol. Because if you said it has the consistency of something else, I'm going to say, how do you know?
Pepto-Bismol.
Okay, thanks.
We'll bid you adieu till next week.